Welcome. Today we're exploring the dark, twisted tale of Clan Lasombra, one of the most powerful and enigmatic vampire clans in Vampire the Masquerade. If you have no prior experience with World of Darkness lore, don't worry. We'll guide you through step by step. Imagine ancient times along the western Mediterranean, around islands like Sicily or Malta. According to Lasombra legends, their antediluvian, the clan's mythical founder, was a mysterious figure tied to the sea. Early Lasombra came from these coastal communities, making their homes in caves and sea caverns, and even practicing a sea-bound form of worship. Over time, they became leaders among the so-called Sea Peoples, notorious pirates and raiders of the Mediterranean. These early followers prayed to a dark river god called Lasombra, River of Darkness, blending themes of domination, trade, and shadow into a shared identity. This is why water and storms remain strong symbols in Lasombra culture. About 3,500 years ago, when the volcano Thera erupted near Santorini, the landscape and society of the Mediterranean changed dramatically. One-third of the Lasombra clan left their homeland in search of new hunting grounds, in a diaspora they call the First Dispersal. The antediluvian traveled and returned with a new child named Montano, who represented loyalty and honor. Montano later became the conscience of the clan, eventually taking the side of those Lasombra who rejected darker paths. Fast forward to the 12th century. A Sicilian noble named Gratiano rose in the clan's ranks. The antediluvian manipulated his life, orchestrating his failures and torture to test him before offering the embrace. Gratiano accepted and became the founder's favored child, while secretly planning the ultimate betrayal. He wasn't alone. Tensions with elders had been brewing. Gratiano helped spark the Anarch Revolt, aligning with other clans and groups, even the Assamites, and teaching younger vampires how to fight against their elders' control. In 1483, Gratiano led a surprise strike on the antediluvian's lair. The conspirators drained the ancient vampire while it slept, leaving it to crumble into ash. Once their founder was gone, Gratiano formed the Friends of the Night, Amici Noctis, and declared that no single Lasombra would ever rule over the others. With the old regime destroyed, Lasombra and their allies, notably Clan Simis, founded a new sect called the Sabbat. Unlike the secretive Camarilla, which enforces the Masquerade, a conspiracy to hide vampires from humans, the Sabbat rejects those restrictions and embraces vampiric freedom. The Sabbat developed the Vauldery, a ritual mixing vampires' blood to free them from elders' blood bonds and create equality within the pack. They also codified philosophical paths of enlightenment, like the Road of Night, encouraging cruelty and domination as part of their spiritual practice. So what makes a Lasombra? They follow a Darwinian philosophy, believing only the strong survive. They embrace mortals who've overcome adversity, sociopaths, survivors, activists, diplomats, anyone who has proven themselves willing to seize power. Lasombra often recruit within organized religion, priests, monks, and rabbis who use their positions for personal control and influence. Such individuals mirror the clan's own values of power and manipulation. Their signature discipline is Oblivion, formerly Obtenebration, letting them command shadows and spirits from the abyss. Lasombra can cloak themselves in darkness, snare foes with living shadows, and even commune with the dead. But there's a price. Every use risks corrupting their soul. They also have a unique Bane. They cast no proper reflection. Mirrors and cameras show a distorted or invisible image, and technology often glitches around them. Even making a simple phone call is a challenge. Their compulsion is ruthlessness. When a Lasombra fails at something, their blood drives them relentlessly to succeed, punishing any weakness until they overcome the setback. Throughout the centuries, Lasombra wove their influence through the Catholic Church, colonial empires, and later financial and criminal enterprises. They maintained unity through the Friends of the Night and guided the Sabbat during crusades against ancient vampires and the Second Inquisition, modern-day vampire hunters. However, the Sabbat's crusades were brutal and costly. Many Lasombra saw diminishing returns and began to question the sect's future. When the modern world intensified its scrutiny of vampires, a faction of Lasombra elders considered a radical shift. leaving the Sabbat and negotiating with their old enemies in the Camarilla. This culminated in Chicago by Night, 5th edition, a story set in modern Chicago. A Lasombra diplomat named Sierra Van Beres arrived with a petition. The clan wanted to join the Camarilla in Chicago. Sierra explained to a local enforcer that the document laid out what the Lasombra could offer and the price they'd have paid for their place. She asked for it to be delivered to Prince Kevin Jackson, a Ventru ruler, to start formal negotiations. In a private letter, Sierra wrote that the talks were going well. She believed Prince Jackson would support the Lasombra joining, because it would make him look like a pioneer. But she expected he'd demand a sacrifice, not just blood, but the death of an elder, as proof of the clan's sincerity. Sierra promised she would evaluate any proposed sacrifice herself before agreeing. Chicago Sheriff Damien and Prince Jackson discussed Sierra's role. Damien thought she seemed legitimate and had followed her without seeing anything suspicious. The prince told him to keep a close eye on her. Trust would not be granted easily. Most shockingly, the conditions set by different Camarilla cities were severe. Some demanded an elder's execution for each Lasombra allowed into their city. Others required Lasombra to submit to a blood bond to the prince, limited the number of Lasombra to 3 per domain, forbade them from learning blood sorcery, and prohibited them from holding titles for 50 years. These terms underscored the risk and desperation behind the clan's defection. Sierra wrote to a fellow Lasombra, asking him to help eliminate any clanmates in Chicago who might cause trouble. It was a ruthless plan to use their deaths as bargaining chips. And while the Camarilla valued the Lasombra's power and influence, other clans, especially the Ventru and Toreador, were wary of sharing the throne with such longtime enemies. From their Mediterranean origins to their role in the Sabbat and their recent plea to join the Camarilla, the story of Clan Lasombra is one of ambition, betrayal, survival, and ruthless pragmatism. They murdered their own founder to gain freedom, dominated the Sabbat, and now are willing to sacrifice their elders to secure a place in the Camarilla's halls. For newcomers to the world of darkness, Lasombra show that vampires aren't just bloodsuckers hiding in alleys. They're political creatures, bound by ancient traditions and shaped by impossible choices. And as the modern knights evolve, the Lasombra keep proving that they will do anything to remain in power, even if that means turning to former enemies and offering up their own kin. And that's the complete journey of Clan Lasombra, from shadowy Mediterranean origins and pirate kings, through secret rebellions and religious manipulation, to a dramatic public plea for sanctuary in a rival sect. If you're interested in exploring more about the clans, the Sabbat or the Camarilla, there's a whole world of stories in the Vampire the Masquerade books waiting for you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our next deep dive into the world of darkness.